everybody, it's Rebecca here at Wine Mermaids, and it's time for my May wrap-up. And yes, I realized that I haven't posted in like a month, and that this is already kind of a week late, and I have lots of videos that I filmed and haven't edited and haven't posted, and I'm sorry about that. But summer is almost here. Summer is like 4 days away from me for summer break. So hopefully there'll be more videos, but no promises because, you know, things happen. Things are busy. I got trips planned, I got lots of time at the pool planned ahead of me, so anyway, we'll see what happens, but I do have my May wrap-up for you today, and I have 9 books! 9 books in May! That's a good number for me lately, so 9 books, I'm on track, and yeah, 7 books, 2 audiobooks, overall rating of like a 3.78 or something, so like kind of a mediocre reading month as far as like the quality. But for quantity, 9 is pretty good for me. So let's get into what I read, starting with my lowest and working my way up. So my 2-star read is The Love Interest by Cale Dietrich. I picked this one up from Book of the Month, and I was so excited about it. It was on everybody's like list, their TBR for the year, and like everyone was like so excited about it, and I was like, yes, I'm so excited about it. And then I read it, and I was not excited about it. So basically the premise of The Love Interest, for those of you who don't know, is that there's a secret spy organization, and they send out people to like compete over the love of this person who they think is gonna be like really powerful. And they send a bad boy and a nice guy out to compete, and then so whichever one wins, the other one dies. And you know, cause whatever. So that's the premise of it, but then there's like a twist because it turns out that our 2 love interests, our boys, actually fall in love with each other instead of the girl. So it's like, yes! LGBTQ plus like it takes typical YA tropes and twists them and spins them, and it was like, yes! No, I was just really upset by how good it could have been, and then it wasn't. So it just fell flat in a lot of ways. The characters were not really that well developed. They were also very flat, and I didn't believe half the stuff that was happening. It was just poorly written, and it was such a shame because it had such a cool idea, but it did not work for me. Next up is a 3-star read, and it was actually an audiobook, and it was Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert, who actually narrated it as well. This is the second Elizabeth Gilbert book I've read. Both of them were nonfiction, both of them were audiobooks, and both of them were read by Elizabeth Gilbert herself. And this one, it's a popular book. A lot of people have read it, a lot of people have loved it. It's also very hit or miss. People either love it or they hate it. I felt like I should give it a chance. It was available in audiobook, so I was like, why not? Let's listen to that one. I really liked the first part of it. So I liked Eat a lot. She's in Rome, and she's like discovering like what it means to be happy and like pleasure and those kind of things, and I really liked that, and I really liked this concept of traveling and finding who you are and all that stuff. But then under Pray and then even under Love, it just got tedious, and I just stopped. I didn't really care as much. I felt like she was a little like braggy, and I lost interest in a lot of that, unfortunately, because I did like the idea behind it, and I liked where it was going, and then it was kind of mediocre for me towards the end. So only 3-star read, but I did enjoy. It did inspire me to like want to travel more. I mean, I like to travel anyway, but it made me like, I was like, I want to go and like live in other countries and do that kind of thing and self-experiment and self-explore. That sounds really cool, but I would want to go like with my husband. So, and obviously the whole idea is that she just gotten divorced, so it's her kind of overcoming that. So I don't want that part of it, but I did like the travel part of it. So anyway, 3-star. Up next is The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov, which is a 1960s, I think, Russian classic novel. So I was recommended this book by a creative writing teacher at the Columbia Scholastic Press Association, which is a conference that I go to, and this was this teacher's favorite book. He had a t-shirt and everything, so I was like, I have to read it. It's a classic anyway, so I read it. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I understood more about historic Russia and the Russian Revolution and kind of the lifestyle there, because I missed a lot of the irony, and I had to read all of the footnotes at the end to understand the jokes, the satire of it. Just because I don't know as much about Russian history, so I missed a lot of that, and it did kind of take away. I appreciated that it challenged me and that it wasn't just an easy, super fluffy, easy read. I had to think as I read it, and I had to actually pick it apart, and I haven't had to do that in a book in a long time, and so I did enjoy like learning and critically reading as opposed to just reading for fun, and that was a nice change of pace. I enjoyed reading it. It's the story, it's basically the devil comes to Moscow and just wreaks havoc all over the place, which is really fun. It's chaos. Every chapter is a different character. I kind of wish I'd written them down as well, because I was like, wait, which one are you? I don't remember. But I did like it, so I gave it 3.5. I think, again, if I read it again, I would get more out of it, because I would remember more things and understand more of the context. But if you're interested in like challenging yourself or like Russian satire, I definitely recommend The Master and Margarita. I have 4 4-star reads. The first one is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. I did get this book from Owlcrate. Thank you so much for sending me the box. You can check out the unboxing. But this is my second Becky Albertalli book. The first one, of course, is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which I absolutely adored. And this one did not disappoint. I really enjoyed this one as well. So this is the story of a girl who is slightly overweight, whose twin sister finally first gets her first girlfriend, and our main character kind of gets a little bit jealous of this whole situation. Her whole thing, her whole shtick, I guess, is that she never puts herself out there completely, but she's had like 27 crushes on people, but she's never let people know her feelings necessarily, so she's never been rejected. And so it's kind of the first story of her falling in love and kind of coming to grips with the idea of rejection and the idea of falling in love. And it's just a really cute contemporary. I read it in a day. I really enjoyed it. If you like Simon or if you like YA contemporary, I definitely recommend it. It's nice to see body positivity, and it's nice to see LGBTQ positivity and all of that kind of thing. And once again, I mean, Becky Albertalli is just really fantastic for contemporaries. I'm not a big fan of contemporaries, but I really like her writing, and this one did not disappoint in that regard. Next up was American War by Omar El Akkad, which is another book from my book of the month boxes, whatever, picks that I get. And this one is the story, it's a futuristic story about America and what were to happen if and when global warming takes over. There's another civil war essentially that happens because of it, where the South does not want to give up the use of fossil fuels. The North and the rest of the world really wants to use like solar energy and things like that because of the environment. So like the coasts are all gone, and it's dealing with the impact of environment and global warming on the nation, and then how it's kind of impacted the people there. And so the story follows this one girl who's from Louisiana, and so she's on the outskirts of the South, and she kind of gets forced into the rebellion, into the South's politics because of events that have happened to her in her life. So it's very much a story of war and how war can rip you apart, how it can rip families apart, and how atrocities at a young age can really impact you in a lot of different ways. It's very thought-provoking, and it definitely makes you like question different things. It's a really interesting topic about what could happen, and you can definitely see how it could happen, which is really enjoyable. So I did give it 4 stars out of 5. Next up was The Westin Game by Raskin. This was a reread for me. It's a cute little middle grade story. Basically, it's a mystery, and I started reading it out loud to my creative writing class in my mystery unit, and then we just didn't have the time to finish it, so I just finished it on my own and sped through it. But I haven't read this since I was probably in the 4th or 5th grade, and it was nice to revisit it because I didn't remember much about the mystery at all. Once again, I really enjoyed it, and if you haven't ever read it, it's a really easy, fun mystery. My last 4-star read was Anthem by Ayn Rand, which I'd never read any of her stuff before, so this was my very first one, and this is a very short one. I read it in like an hour and a half or something like that, very quick, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Again, 4 stars. It's dystopia before it really got super popular, and definitely like a think piece, and it's just one man's journey basically in discovering, and I really liked it, so it was a good pick. You may remember at the end of last year I gushed about Wolf by Wolf quite a bit, and I loved it, by Ryan Graudin, Wolf by Wolf, and it's the story of a young girl, Yael, who was in the concentration camp, so she has this ability because of that, and then she's on a motorcycle race years later through basically all of like Europe and Asia, and her mission is to kill Hitler, Well, that's how the first one ends. So this month I picked up the sequel and the finale, the conclusion, which is Blood for Blood by Ryan Graudin, the book 2 in the Wolf by Wolf duology, and it picks up right where the first one leaves off, and so I don't really want to go into what it's about because I don't want to have spoilers for the first one, but needless to say, I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit slower paced than the first one, but the characters are still really fantastic. I still really love Yael. I love the supporting characters as well. The other main difference is that while Wolf by Wolf is one perspective, Blood for Blood is actually 3 perspectives. So it does kind of branch out a little bit. It does kind of tear your heart out a little bit at the end, but overall a really good end to the series. I think I liked Wolf by Wolf better, but I still really liked Blood for Blood. I gave it 4.5 stars. And finally, I have one 5-star book for the month, and it was Matilda by Roald Dahl, which was also a reread for me, and I actually listened to the audiobook for this one, which was read by Kate Winslet. And I love Kate Winslet. She's so fantastic, and she does a fantastic job narrating Matilda, this lovely story, and I really enjoyed it just as much as I did as a kid, and it was just really cute, really fantastic. I loved the narration. It made me really happy. And 5 stars. I mean, you can't go wrong with Roald Dahl, you can't go wrong with Matilda, and you can't go wrong with Kate Winslet. Well, that is it for my wrap up for the month of May. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts were on them. Let me know what you're reading, and thanks for watching. That's it from me today. I'll see you next time.